Good morning, folks, or good evening. I see we have at least one evening in attendance so far. Hi, Hannes.
Hi.
I'll give folks a little bit here to join. I'm still going through looking at issues today. All right, I'm gonna get things rolling here, dropping a link to today's agenda in the Zoom there. Welcome to today's Burndown, September 12th, 2018 for the 1.12 Kubernetes release. I am Tim Pepper, your release lead. This is a public meeting. It's recorded. We'll be posting it to YouTube in just a little bit after the meeting. So as always, be mindful of that, responsible and appropriate for things that will end up on the internet forever. I guess I could actually start some video too, since it's being recorded, so there's not just a voice in a black box on the screen. So, first couple of points on timeline. We did go ahead and cut the beta 2 release yesterday. As the day started, my inclination was to not cut it because basically we hadn't had anything change for the positive in our test results, and we'd had some regressions as well. But as the day progressed, we had a better understanding, at least, of the regressions, and then a cluster lifecycle issue. And I think actually yesterday on Slack I had said KubeADM, but it's a Kube Anywhere issue that did get resolved, and a test went green. So that's at least was a positive, and we went ahead and built the beta. Our next release will be the RC on Tuesday, September 18th, or that's the target anyway, and then a week following that is our release target. Overall status, I'm continuing to call yellow because we have a number of concerning issues, but I'll get into that in a little more detail in a moment. But as of this morning, like in the last 10 minutes, I'm almost willing to say, like, while it's still yellow, it's been like a yellow barely on the red side of the red, yellow, green spectrum. And I'm feeling like we're more squarely in the yellow with a trajectory maybe even towards green here. If we get a few more fixes in the coming days, we might be starting to look a lot better. So I'm starting my day relatively positive, and that's a nice change. Yes, I've been really worried by some of the things we've been seeing the last couple of weeks, honestly, but it's been so slow the last week or so has really started to make me worry. So I'm gonna carry on through the agenda. Feel free to interrupt me or add things as you see or have comments. I want to mention on test infrastructure, I'm not sure if we have Cole. No, I don't see him. I'm not expecting any changes here. We made the transition on Monday to Tide for KK, and things seem to be working fine right now. There had been some confusion around GitHub error issues even going into last week ahead of Tide, and then yesterday we had some GitHub issues, but I don't think these are related. Like, part of my brain worries and is like, did we just break GitHub? But I don't think that's the case. And so I think we should expect some stability on this front. And then the next milestone on test infra that we'll want to watch for, one of the cool aspects of this tide change should be that when we have our reopening of the master branch for 113, that patches that have been sitting there waiting flow in much more efficiently in the past. So I know the test infra folks are really keen to watch that, and we'll see. And we may have hiccups, but we'll deal with them as that happens. So that'll be sometime in the next 2 weeks. Just glancing at my big master calendar. The specific day, I think at this point is really kind of going to be TBD though, because I'm not going to vote yes on reopening master if we have the sort of issues we have right now. We need these things fixed before we have hundreds of patches merge all of a sudden. And I know that there are some large things that are pending to merge as 1.13 starts, and that's good and great, but we don't want that complicating our lives just right now. And especially because patches come into master and then we cherry pick them or branch fast forward to the 1.12 release. Getting the CI signal on the master branch is really important. It gives us a heads up if we think we made a change deliberately and it improved the master blocking tests. Then when we pull changes over to the 1.12 release, we expect to see the same thing, and we can, amidst all of the flaky tests we have, we can get a little more confidence that yes, we deterministically made a positive change here and we reproduced it there. And that's really good information to be able to take away. So that's test infra thoughts for the day, and then that gets us on to CI signal. Mohammed said he wouldn't be able to attend today. I think I'm actually expecting a somewhat sparse attendance, and the main thing really to talk about is CI signal. So I'm going to scroll through the list of things. I've only just started triaging the day's failures, but we do have a new regression that I've noted there, so I'll look at getting an issue open for it. The GKE COS 112 default had a DNS issue in SIG networking that's new.
Is that different from the existing DNS, Tim?
It is, I believe so, yeah. It's a different one that we haven't had fail.
Okay.
So I got, well, actually, you know what? This might be, there's some things timed out waiting on condition. So this could be the node taints stuff still.
Oh, still, oh my God.
And we did have things merge into 112 yesterday, so it may be that it caused additional, well, interesting. I'm just gonna write that.
This is in the, are you looking at the release blocking or the master blocking?
That is in release. Oh, you know, it is in release blocking. No. Yeah, it's master. Yeah. Or is it? Did I copy paste that link right?
It is in release blocking. Yeah.
Yeah, it is just the, okay, so I'm less worried about that. So we have a reason to expect that.
Okay.
And I guess
because the PRs haven't been posted.
Exactly. So
okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna color that yellow then instead of red, and we can follow up on that. So that then carries on into the next topic then. I want to finish scrubbing through the list and see if there are any other unexpected things, but the main thing in flight then I think right now is the taint nodes by condition work. It continues to be ongoing, and Klaus has got two things merged yesterday and has realized that those things need backported to 111. And it's unfortunately now seeing that we have the time lag versus China again. My question there is, so if we need those cherry picked into 111 and it sounds like we need a 1.11.4 actual release, I don't like the feeling that we're experimenting in the prior stable release. So I'm going to drop Klaus a note and get a sense of his confidence level and what options we have to do some experimentation not in the prior release branch. Because if we cherry pick these and they don't make things better, are we going to have a series of iterative fixes and backports to 111 and churn our user base through something visible like that, 111.4, 111.5, 111.6 over the next week or two, trying to resolve this? That's not appropriate. So we need a better plan there.
Yeah, I don't. Considering our RC cut is on Tuesday, I mean, still, and and we at least need a couple of days of runs. And generally, his fix kind of, or all the stain stuff is touching the upgrade tests extensively, which take at least 12 to 13 hours to run in the best case scenario. I'm thinking we might have to, if we are making a decision to back out, it has to be like today or tomorrow. That we have Wednesday,
That's
Thursday,
a good
Friday.
point.
Yeah, to like for things to be backed out and then for things to stabilize. So yeah.
Are we positive he's asking for a release of 111.4?
No, we are not. So
I don't read it that way.
okay.
Also, for what it's worth, like the upgrade jobs, they don't, as far as I know, please somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I've actually like chased through the commit SHAs. They don't test against a tag. They test against head of the release branch. So in terms of churning our users,
Okay.
we wouldn't churn our users until we actually cut a release. So if we really have to taking some stuff into the release 111 branch, and if we decide that doesn't fix the problem, we can revert those things, and my internet connection is unstable.
We are hearing you.
Say these things in chat because I think I don't know how much. Okay. So like just cherry pick and revert, and that's fine. Like if we ever have any concerns in the build logs, Kube API server will say what version it is. It says you can grep for a Kube API server version, and then you can trace that SHA back to GitHub if you really want to. But again, I can double check if it would make people feel better, but I feel pretty confident that the CI/Kates-stable1 means it is the latest build off of the N-1 branch. So the same thing will take place for when we start doing, when we come out of code freeze and we start running against the 112 branch, CI/Kates-beta. Beta stands for the release branch that's going to go out the door. So none of those should be tied to actual tags. If I'm wrong, I will go verify that. But I think to actually test against tags that we're cutting.
Okay, so if you have a few minutes sometime today to walk me through where you're analyzing the code that seems like it picks that up, I'd be interested to see too, because Michelle is thinking that her patch hasn't been picked up either, and I believe I saw it was cherry picked yesterday or the day before still.
It's a question of whether or not it actually landed in the branch. I think in some of the patches Michelle was talking about, the merge actually hadn't landed until sometime over the weekend.
Okay.
But yes, I'm happy to like write up a guide on how to do this to make you feel better. But I feel like I can help that.
The thing that I was immediately worried about was Klaus's comment on Slack. So it tests against 1.11.3. So like that he explicitly said that made me feel tag wise. But and then I'll go through and grep the logs also for the version and see and go step back through to GitHub on the commit as well and see and try to convince myself as well independently. Because if that's the case, I'm a whole lot more comfortable. Not so worried.
I will see if I can help you put together an authoritative sounding doc real soon, because I'm supposed to drop off the face of the earth later today after the steering committee meeting at 1 p.m. Pacific. But like, I am very, very, this question comes up every time. I'm getting sick of us constantly having this question. I would like us to definitively answer, where does it upgrade from? Where does it upgrade to? End of story.
Hallelujah. All right, then. So we're making some progress there. Hopefully, with Klaus, we have some roadmap there. Then the next one, 68509, Aish, and I'm not sure the name of the person on your left.
Sebastian, hi.
Hi.
Hi. Seb joins us from the GKE release shepherd for 112. So as of yesterday evening, we opened an issue, and it's let's say it's still.
I mean, yeah, nobody worked on it yet, so I'm just going to investigate.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be on top of it today. So it's all the GKE jobs in master and 112 blocking.
Okay. I'll be interested to see later today. If you have any progress, ping me on Slack, let me know.
Yeah, we thought yesterday it was the OMG, and we were hoping that it would like resolve once that closed, but we are still seeing some of the issue there.
Okay. Peeling the onion. Okay, the next one, the horizontal pod autoscaler instability, we have Solly actively debugging on that, so I'm not super worried. That's the right owner. We have their attention. So it's that it's been around for a while worries me. It's red, but I'd be surprised if in the next day, 2, 3, we don't get some resolution there. So the next one then, 68359, all the before suite failures in the GCE scale testing. That issue was closed? And I'm not following the rationale for why. So there's GCE scale correctness and GCE scale performance. The issue is open against correctness, and correctness is still having the failures.
So that's, 1 second, let me bring up correctness. So that's more of test. If you look at the tab, Tim, it is green. The before suite the failure was from 9.4. You see the Vegas on 9.8. You see all the before suite showing as red. That's because it's retaining the state from the previous runs.
Got it. Yep.
Scroll down, everything else is green.
Okay, that's right.
It's kind of trippy a little bit that way.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday, and I had a really busy day yesterday multitasking between things. So yep, I'm remembering the conversation now. So on this one, we should probably be getting another run sort of today, tomorrow.
This is the performance one, right?
Yeah, yep.
Sham had a few comments yesterday. They were working on a couple of PRs. He wasn't sure. They were mostly experimenting rather than being sure of the fix. So yeah, I haven't had time to follow up on where those PRs are at this point.
Okay.
But I had linked it off of the document, of the meeting minutes from yesterday.
Okay, and I do see, just glancing over those issues, I do see some updates and something that's been merged as well in test infra, but only a day ago. So since these are longer running, it may be a bit yet. But I guess, again, for the current release, we're kind of in the normal place that we are around scalability. We've got the right people looking at these issues. We have a little bit of runway. Mm-hmm. I'm worried, but I feel like this is I'm the dog in the room with the flames. This is fine.
Those three, I was just checking on those 3 issues listed in the Uber issue, and yeah, you're right. Everything seems to have been closed / merged, and we haven't had a run yesterday, so we'll have to hopefully wait for this run and see if things clean up.
Yeah, it's awkward with the slowness on the feedback loop, but we've got the right people watching and aggressively working on this, it seems. So we'll continue to watch this space. Oh, and there is one where Sham mentioned, so this was 17 hours ago, and I'm not sure which. So he says we should have a run once every weekday starting tomorrow. I don't know if tomorrow is today now or which day, but today or tomorrow we might start getting more feedback then. So that'll be helpful in the coming days then too. So okay. Yep. All right. The next issues. This is the storage related ones and Michelle. So I'll do another look on that related to the looking on what commits were brought in. But I do think looking at the commits in the 111 branch, Michelle's change only merged sometime on Monday. So that might have been part of what happened, and I'll reassess the expectations there for today, and we can see. The next one, 67600, the DNS config map. So we talked about DNS a little bit earlier, probably not related to this one, but this one, the PR has, I don't want to say has merged, but it is merging. It should be merged pretty quickly here. And if so, then probably later today we'll see some progress on that, and that would be cool. And it might be interesting to see too what other peripheral, since this is a network related thing, if this might be associated with anything else. And then the final one at the moment, 66243, the load balancing. So I'm not sure if it was you who'd followed up with Freehand. If so, I appreciate it, and I'm willing to consider that not a blocker.
It should have turned green. He was saying the GC fix was rolling out on Monday afternoon. I'll double check with him to see the status on the rollout. But it's not anything in the KK code anyway. So,
okay.
But it'll be good to follow up.
It's still read today. Actually, yeah, it's still read today. Yep. But if nothing else, we can, having confirmed that it's unrelated to things that we need to worry about, then I'm okay with that. So that's our current issues, with the caveat of still needing to do some triage on the latest runs overnight. But I think within that, we are narrowing things down. We're seeing some progress and getting a better understanding of the failures. I'm still worried about the taint nodes by condition, but if that cherry pick goes through today still, and we happen to see, even if we don't confirm, I guess if the tests go green, that's the evidence without following the audit trail of commits, that would be a positive thing potentially that we might get lucky on today as well for those. So we will see. On issues, Gwen had mentioned she might not be able to make it today. Not sure if anybody else has triaged. I don't see anybody on the call who would have. I'll give a look at those today as well, but not super worried, just because the velocity there has been relatively quiet, and compared to our test failures, those, not super worried there at the moment. Nothing's feeling on fire. Next on the agenda, features. Stephen couldn't make it today, but did give an update. Not sure, Kenny, if you have anything else you'd want to add, but I feel like the status is updated to green there. I'm actually pretty comfortable here. The press over the last week, we've basically gotten updates on everything now, so we know which things have officially dropped, and basically everything else is on track. So we've done that final splitting. We know what we have. So from our original 66 features, we're down to 40. Half of the things that were alpha fell out, and then a little bit of the things that were beta and stable targets fell out, but it was mostly early alpha stuff. And I feel like that's kind of normal. It's an aspiration to get new alpha features in. So probably kind of done on the feature tracking front, aside from documentation tracking down. And I see Anonymous Coyote is typing on documentation right now. Are you there, Zach?
I am there, Zach, Tim.
Hey, and you look like you might be somewhere that has internet today too.
Yes, I'm not on a bus coming back from the San Francisco airport. I am, in fact, back in my office in scenic Sonoma County. So the doc status, I'm still going to leave it at chartreuse. One, because I think it's a lovely color, and two, because there is still one missing doc count. It's a feature for vertical pod autoscaling, and I was reading through the comments, and it looks like it's probably actually going to go independent of 112. So it is a feature, but not in the sense of like we are going to be releasing it as part of the 112 doc cycle, like as in it will have special attention. So I made a note. If the owner of this feature's name is, I'm not going to try. as I was going to have to scroll. But if that particular owner says, hey, yeah, we're going to go independent, and I will make a pull request and document this independent of the 112, then that would make the missing doc count 0 and our status green, because we are more than halfway complete with documentation, meaning it is merged into the 112 release branch, which means I'll need to be scaffolding the PR into master here soon. There are some
One thing I want to note there, just kind of as we're thinking about the transition forward as well, that scaling one, so ended up being implemented as a CRD. It's outside of KK, so it's in that space of the way the system is now. We don't really track it, but we got to watch that and figure out how we handle this better as time goes by, because this isn't the only one where also, like, at first it didn't look like there was any code that had changed, but people are saying it's done. Where is it? And as things split out, it becomes very ambiguous. And then some of those do end up being things that should have user-facing documentation. And if that user-facing documentation is just on some kind of semi-random GitHub repo as a piece of markdown, that's worrying. So something to think about as an improvement. And I guess I'll put a note to this regard in the retro doc to be thinking.
That's not why we have SIG PM. It's like they are the all-seeing eye of.
Yeah, but I think also we're kind of the gatekeeper of last resort to say, like, hey, SIG PM, we got to tighten this up in the next cycle as more stuff is moving out.
I agree with you on that, because obviously, yes, it seems like we're following the same cycle that everyone else is. There's this huge 53 million line monolith that is now being split into the individual microservices of Kubernetes, and now it's going to be impossible for people to install this unless they have GKE or EKS or AKS. So, but all of these independent things, I do think, because we're having the same issue of, like, we're not really sure. We'll find out, someone will put an issue up on the Kubernetes website, GitHub, and they'll be like, hey, this feature is completely undocumented. And we go look, we're like, we didn't know it was a feature, or that people even wanted to know about it. So, so people are even looking at the general main Kubernetes documentation website for things that are these plugins, like external DNS, which is an incubator project. I think it still is, and it was for a while, but the metric server, I guess it's now part Intri, and various other things. So I totally agree with you, Tim. That's an improvement that could definitely be made. I basically took what you said, agreed with you, and then added about 10,000 words.
I'm trying to summarize in the retro notes as well. All right, then, release notes.
Okay.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm here.
Puppy today.
What's that? Yes. So, yeah. So we are green, and we are actively copy editing the document. We have now moved to a daily schedule of adding in new PRs, and Dave is contacting the SIG leads to get the major themes. So we're trying to get the drafts of the major themes by the end of this week, which means we probably won't have them until the middle of next week, which puts us pretty much exactly on time. So we're good.
Excellent. Next up, comms. We had the deadline there to give some review feedback to Caitlin. I know I did. Not sure if you've gotten it from others. Have any questions, thoughts, Caitlin?
Yep. Stephen, I believe, asked for an additional day to review, so we're just waiting on him for that on the release blog. We also haven't received any input on the media FAQ document, so I'm going to resend that out today. That just needs to be, we can finesse it on our side for what that content looks like. So if Tim and Stephen could just drop in some bullets, that would be fine.
Will do.
And then just a note, because we're planning to start pitching next week, which involves sending out the blog post. So we'll need to try and lock down kind of what our best guess is for the release if we think it's going to move at all, so that we can use that as the embargo date for the blog post.
Okay.
So I have it tentatively scheduled for, I believe, 5 p.m. on the 25th. So I think just if we want to adjust that, I think we should make a call on Monday or Tuesday of next week.
Okay. Just noting that down. Okay. That is basically the end of the agenda. We've talked about the retro doc, and I see some folks have been dropping some things in there now. 1.13 team has folks in most roles as well for Aish, and that's positive. Anything else anybody would like to discuss? We do. What is this? This meeting is scheduled for a half hour only, so we are actually slightly over time already. So I apologize on that. All right, we'll call it a meeting. Continue to be a bit worried about test grid and anything anybody can do to give it a glance a few times a day and push on issues and PRs. I definitely appreciate that, and it's my sole focus in coming days. So thank you all for all of your contributions and pulling all of this together. It's a little stressful right now for everybody, I think, watching it all go, but it is starting to come together. We're doing it. So have a great day, y'all.
Bye.
See ya.